Westmore now in his 10th season in charge of NC State. Lisa Bluter, year number 23 in her home state. Grew up in Marion, Iowa. And some high expectations for this Iowa team. Monica Sinano, who was the running partner for Caitlin Clark, coming back using her final year of eligibility because this Iowa team wanted to do something special. Both of these teams have something in common. They have both lost to UConn this year. Iowa also falling at Kansas State just after an overtime win against Drake. And here's Sinano. Led the country in field goal percentage a couple of years in a row. Clark, who we assume will see a lot of different defenders, does something she's really good at, that's drawing fouls and getting to the line.
Yeah, I think she's done a much better job through the end of last season into this season at finding ways to get to the line. Great scorers find different ways to get the ball in the bucket, and Caitlin Clark does such a good job of attacking in the ISO. Westmore talked today in shoot around at length. We have to be able to help, whether it's Caitlin Clark or Monica Sinano inside, and we have to be able to recover quickly.
Caitlin Clark, on average, gets to the line 9 times a game, and she's really good once she gets there at 79%. Knocks them both down to get Iowa out to the quick 2-0 lead. This is only the 4th time these two teams have met. The first time it has not been on a neutral site. Jada Boyd, one of the experienced players you talked about in the open with the miss. Here's Sinano quickly getting it up to Clark. Talked to Clark at shoot around today. She's a little stuffy, a little congestion going on, but she's ready to go. Warnock with the miss. Kate Martin, after the Sinano pass, wasn't able to bring it home. And now Diamond Johnson, who was so terrific coming off the bench last year, now in the starting role.
Yeah, I don't think you can wait to pick up Diamond Johnson at the three-point line on her offensive end of the floor. I think you've got to find a way to get a body in front of her early, but she was that spark off the bench for Westmore a year ago. Could have been a starter probably at any time, but now in that role and is embracing that role.
Leading the team in those 3 categories. Last year, Westmore said Diamond Johnson was indeed his 6th starter. Wore number 0 last year, but now wearing number 3, which was Kai Crutchfield's number. Kai, one of those 4 starters who has moved on.
You think about those 4 starters, and it was remarkable to see that it was only 50% of their offense, right? Had a lot of players come off the bench that gave production. Diamond Johnson, one of them. Jada Boyd, another.
Yes, it was surprising. I honestly thought it would be more like 75 or 80%, but that does show and speak to the depth of this team and how much Johnson, who was the 2nd leading scorer last year, contributed off the bench. Jakia Brown-Turner is a good perimeter defender, but Caitlin Clark just shook her off like she was dust.
I mean, that's the thing about Caitlin Clark, is that she is so savvy in understanding how to create space, how to use her body, how to use a different dribble cadence.
Boyd, nothing doing. Clark coming up with the rebound. Head up as always. Stops, shoots, well off the mark. She thought she was fouled by Hayes. Now Johnson with the full head of steam. Gabby Marshall stepped in the way. This Iowa group has played together for several years.
I think you got to look to get Sinano a touch. She didn't get a lot of touches against UConn. 8 points in that ball game. I think you got to find a way to get her going early.
Martin crashes to the floor. Madison Hayes patiently sitting on the bench last year with so much talent ahead of her, now in the starting lineup. Clark, all she needs is about a millimeter of space.
And the step back. So she's bringing it down the floor, and you have to respect her ability to get to the rim, and she gets that step back and the shot off so quickly.
And right now the score is Caitlin Clark 7, NC State 1. Boyd looking inside to Camille Hobby, who backed up Elisa Cunane. the last couple of years. She is tied up by Warnock.
Well, the ball going inside to Hobby, and a really good job of Warnock of just coming in and giving that help in the double team.
Sub Sydney Afalter, the sophomore, coming in to spell Kate Martin early on for Iowa. There she is, number 3. Sonano still without a shot attempt. Warnock misses from the outside, but Sonano hunts it. Clark left a little bit short. Brown Turner calling for it. Her 3 is well off the mark. NC State 0 for 5 from the floor.
Well, we know Caitlin Clark can fill it up, and what I like is that she's doing it in a lot of different ways. This time she comes off of the on-ball screen. She knows the defender's going to be chasing, uses the shot fake, and here just creating space. How quickly she gets from one point to another, and the ability to stretch away from the defense is incredible. And you know, oftentimes you think about great scorers and it's either catch and shoot or it's off the bounce, and she can be both.
And you see the numbers. They actually go up when she plays against top 10 teams. She got 9.
And Pam, I think that this year I've seen Caitlin Clark get to the rim already more so and more consistently than in the past, and that keeps her defense honest.
I agree. She seems to be going off the bounce a lot more. River Baldwin, the Florida State transfer, gets into the game and scores the first points for the Pack. Baldwin has been a big pickup for Westmore.
You can't just guard her from the three-point line, and I'm sure that if you're Westmore, you would rather have 2s than 3s, but the help defense, the rotation has to be there.
Concern for Coach Moore. We talked about all the new starters. He says they're still very much a work in progress, trying to mesh offensively as well as defensively. So many, not necessarily new faces, but certainly new roles. Different and more minutes. O'Grady just came in to give Sonano a rest, and she is tied up. Possession arrow sends it to NC State.
She's been coming on as of late. You know, River Baldwin's a player we saw a lot of last year in the ACC, and she looks like she's in the best shape that she's been in of her career. And over the last 4 games, she's been really good.
Boyd with the miss. Clark guarded by Johnson. We've been working on posting up Caitlin Clark against smaller guards, but she pulled it out that time. Thought about pulling the trigger. Bounce pass to O'Grady, who draws contact. Caitlin Clark with all 9 of Iowa's points as we hit a timeout. Here's O'Grady at the line.
Oh, Caitlin Clark outscoring NC State, 1 for 8 from the floor for the Wolfpack. Really struggling to get something going offensively. And that's going to be the challenge for this team. We mentioned in the open, you shoot to the top of everybody's scouting report. You're no longer a complimentary player. How can you respond? How can you find ways to continue to impact? And that's one way. Get Jada Boyd a touchdown low.
Boyd is shooting very well from the floor this year. As in her career, 60% last year for NC State, just below that right now. Molly Davis, transfer. Warnock was left open, didn't look at the hoop. Davis with the miss. Warnock, who is one of those valuable kind of, you know, Swiss Army knife kind of players.
She is definitely a utility player, can play multiple positions, do multiple things for this Iowa team. I mean, she's a player who, whatever is needed at any moment, can bring it. And Sanaya Rivers, another transfer from South Carolina. She's somebody that Westmore talks about, can give you really good minutes, likes her in a point guard and a wing position.
Mark with the miss. Warnock tapped it, but it could not be saved in by NC State. Remember, you can donate to the V Foundation for Cancer Research at v.org/donate. Some great basketball continuing to come your way. And there's a freshman, remember this name, Hannah Stuelke.
Yeah, Lisa Bluder really speaking highly of Hannah Stuelke and saying we have to find more ways to get her minutes, and it really is trying to figure out what does the rotation look like. Does she come in at the 4? Does she come in at the 5? How can you get her touches when she does? Because she's very good off the bounce.
They were just playing out the Phil Knight tournaments in Portland. Marshall missed, and in both of the games, she only played single-digit minutes, and Coach Bluder said, yeah, that's on us. That's on the coaching staff. And as you mentioned, they're trying to get her more playing time, a much decorated player from up the road in Cedar Rapids.
A lot of settling right now for NC State. On long-range jumpers, not getting touches inside. You see that double team is coming on the block, but get it out, get it to the backside, and attack.
Stuelke does not shoot a lot of threes. Trying to get it into Sonano. She still has not gotten a shot off. Does have 5 rebounds. Sonano and Clark combining for half of Iowa's scoring, and that is another assist for Clark as she finds the freshman.
And that's Stuelke again, running in transition. Lisa Bluder talks about her. She's so aggressive. She's aggressive to the board. She's aggressive to the rim. There you see her rim running.
Diamond Johnson quiets the crowd just for a second. They've sold a lot of season tickets. And another Clark to Stuelke connection.
I think Wes Moore's going to have to use another timeout here. I know he's going to try to weather this storm, but he was on his team in shoot-around today about their energy level, about their attention to detail. You can't celebrate on a make. Iowa's going to bring it right down the floor, and there was no communication in transition defense.
Baldwin able to get a shot off. They're not getting any offensive rebounds when they do miss. That's a lot of contact on Clark, who was a little cranky until they finally called the foul.
Cranky?
Yeah.
What is that? What is that? Cranky. But this is Caitlin Clark in transition. Great look. Rim run by Stuelke, and then again in transition, finds the open player. Stuelke just gets loose. There's a miscommunication in defensive transition, and Iowa will make you pay every time.
Well, Clark gets a little bit of a break, so that puts Molly Davis at the point. The giveaway results in 2 points, and Rivers, who you just mentioned, played her freshman year at South Carolina. Only played about 13 minutes a game, but a backup point, very athletic. Will blend in more and more as the season goes along. Sonano.
And that's uncharacteristic.
Yeah.
That's uncharacteristic of Sonano inside. For the ball to go through her hands, I think it's a good look. If you're Iowa, you've got to continue to find ways to get touches. We mentioned 8 points on only 3 of 7 from the floor against Connecticut.
No points for Sonano so far, averaging over 17 per game. Johnson.
No field goal attempts even.
Yeah, not even a shot attempt.
I like the middle screen and roll with Diamond Johnson. She is really dynamic off of that. She can score it, she can facilitate. I think NC State has to continue to find ways to get towards the rim, get downhill.
All right, so the shot clock is off. Caitlin Clark is not on the floor. Sonano's first attempt is short. She has been working to lengthen her shooting range. And the Iowa Hawkeyes, thanks to 9 points by Caitlin Clark, also has a couple of rebounds and 2 assists, lead NC State by 4 after 1 quarter.